Hey everybody, I'm Jeff. Welcome back to my workshop. I wanted to make a video today talking about some of the different ways of holding tools in a medium-sized milling machine like this one. This being a Grizzly, the G0704. There's a number of other mills on the market that are pretty much identical to it in their casting, their size, and general rating of the motors and stuff. The Precision Matthews, Opti, Sieg, I think. And generally speaking, they're all very similar, save for some minor differences. As you can see with mine, I converted it to CNC operation, which is really cool. I enjoy it a lot, and I think it worked pretty well. But everything I'm showing in this video, you don't really need CNC for. What I'd like to show you is how to go from the very basic collet setup that comes with the machine, the R8 spindle, and how to make incremental improvements to that make life easier at every little step, all the way up to getting a power draw bar that can change tools with the press of a button.
These are the collets. They're R8 shaped, and they're used by everything from mini mills up to Tormachs and Bridgeports. They have a pretty narrow range of work holding per each collet, so you usually get a set of them, 6 or 8. The way that they're tightened into the machine is with these threads in the back. There is a drawbar inside of the machine that has corresponding threads, and basically working just as any other screw would, tightens them in like a nut. In order to be able to place some force on the spindle to be able to torque the drawbar, you're supplied with this little pin wrench that fits into a matching recess on the outside of the spindle. This allows you to use the supplied box end wrench to tighten the drawbar down and secure the tool in the collet.
Now this little pin wrench that comes with the milling machine, no matter what you plan to do with this machine, if you just use it for light little manual things or you want to go full CNC, insane, whatever you do, whatever kind of machine you get, no matter what, I say take this thing and throw it away. It's worthless. It took me way too long to get this little pin spanner wrench, and I love it. It makes it so much easier for actually getting a grip on the spindle so that I can tighten the drawbar down securely and repeatably. These are very inexpensive. I got mine off of Amazon, and the link's in the description. I painted mine 2 different colors so that I knew what was loose and what was tight. I didn't want to have to think of how to orient it every time.
Speaking of upgrades, the next major one was to get this 9mm 12-point socket. Now this fits over the 8mm square head on the drawbar. Using a ratchet handle to tighten down the drawbar was not only more convenient and faster, but it also made for a tighter hold on the tool. You're probably figuring out where this is going next, and yep, air-powered ratchet handle from, well, this one's just from Harbor Freight. It's inexpensive, gives about 50 to 55 foot-pounds of torque, which is fine in this application, and man, it's super convenient. So what's next from here? Well, you may have guessed it, the Tormach TTS system. You start with this collet. It's just a 3/4 inch collet that's been ground flat at the nose. It's made to hold a special style of tooling.
These Tormach TTS tool holders are pretty handy. I've gotten a small collection over the last few months. Tormach themselves obviously make the stuff that's the best. I use their drill chuck arbor, and then they're just straight set screw tool holders. Those are the most sturdy and, as far as I know, the most concentric until you get into like crazy stuff. You can get some import ER collet holders off of eBay. They're less expensive than the Tormach holders if you buy in bulk. I have a single one I bought a while ago before they increased in price, and it seems to be fine, but when the price difference is so negligible and I have to make a large purchase to get them anymore to get any sort of actual deal, I'll probably just get the Tormach stuff. I've worked on making some of my own tooling for TTS. It's not difficult, although you have to understand it's not going to be as perfect. Like this fly cutter I made. I made a fly cutter in a video a couple of years ago that was a little bit more basic, and this one actually has the TTS features on it, and it works pretty well. A fly cutter doesn't need to be as perfect, and I haven't had to worry about the repeatability of its length offset yet.
So I guess we can talk about this now. The heart of this device is this 4-inch bore, quarter-inch stroke air cylinder I got from eBay pretty inexpensively. You can find them for between $40 and $75 if you look around. It needs to be so big because we need quite a bit of force to push down the drawbar, and I'll show you more on how that's going to work here in a little bit. What a lot of people have done to use a smaller cylinder, like the Tormach solution, is to use a multi-stage cylinder so that it can be narrower in diameter, but it has multiple pistons pushing down, and you get the same amount of force in a relatively smaller footprint. Those tend to be very expensive, even to build one yourself from scratch. The materials are way more than this costs, so I figured I'd give this guy a shot, and so far it seems to work really well. These holes I'm drilling, I laid out with a 3D printed pattern. I'm not drilling all the way through, I'm leaving a good amount of meat on the bottom so that I can tap them, and then they'll hold some threaded rod to be the connecting arms that connect the piston, the cylinder, to my lifter plate. I designed this portion of the mechanism, the lifter plate, to be cut out of some 3/4 inch aluminum. It's a pretty straightforward design and a pretty straightforward cut path. The slot going down the center actually fits around the spindle. It'll provide counterforce to the piston pressing down on the drawbar. This way, the bearings aren't negatively affected. With the cam all programmed out, I could just send it to the milling machine and let it go. All you do is push a button, right? And this ended up being a pretty conservative cycle time. I think I was around 33 minutes. I probably could have sped it up. I was using this really long 5/16 end mill. I didn't have any shorter ones in that size. You don't really want to put a tool out that far, and you especially don't want to push it when it's sticking out that far. When the part was completed, I could then use it as a template to center punch where the holes would be so I could drill and tap them for the shoulder bolts. For the standoffs, or legs of the lifter plate, I use this DOM tubing, and I'm using some B7 grade threaded rod. That's basically equivalent to about a heat-treated 4140. In fact, I think that's exactly what it is. Anyway, it's got some strength. It's not quite grade 8, but I like it a lot. It's a lot cheaper and easier to work with. This entire assembly goes together pretty simply, and that's pretty much by design. I didn't want it to be too complicated just in case any part of the concept didn't work. So this is pretty straightforward. The threaded rods basically attach the plate to the cylinder, and I have these DOM tubing standoffs to keep everything square and in line. I machine them on the lathe. Everything's just secured down with a couple of nuts and some of those spider-shaped lock washers. For now, I'm just using a grade 8 3/8 bolt attached to the piston as my ram, and I can adjust it really easily that way. In replacing the drawbar itself, the first thing we're going to do is add this top hat. I machined this a few years ago just on the lathe. It's got 20mm threads on the inside to attach to the spindle itself. On top of it lie 6 Belleville washers. These are high-strength springs that are what the drawbar will actually tighten to when holding the collet closed. I could then put the entire assembly in place and secure it with the shoulder bolts. I had originally used some shorter shoulder bolts, try saying that 4 times fast, but they didn't have enough room for these springs that I put in there to keep everything from vibrating. Between the springs and these aluminum spacers I machined, the entire assembly stays in place and out of the way of the spindle and everything else when not in use. The collet's inserted into the spindle and tightened down with the new drawbar. Now, the new drawbar is also some B7 threaded rod. I machined the very top part of it to have a hex flat on it so that I could tighten it down like this. We could also adjust the ram and make sure that there was clearance. With the air hooked up, well, let's give her a go.
Now, the whole big idea about how this entire design works is that we've got the piston pushing down on this. It's our replacement drawbar. Works the same as the drawbar that was already in the milling machine. This one, however, instead of pressing directly onto the spindle, it's pressing upon 3 of these Belleville washers. They're like cup springs. They're incredibly strong. These are the ones at McMaster that are the thickest and fit a 7/16 drawbar. And then at the very bottom, there's a part called a top hat, and that actually screws to the top of the spindle. The entire reason for that, and why that this whole assembly is loose and not hard bolted to the head of the milling machine, is because we don't want to be affecting all this force right against the spindle bearings and pressing down on the head of the machine. What that'll be doing is pushing the entire spindle out against the bearings in the direction that they're not intended to be pushed. Essentially, when this piston is activated, it's now squeezing that drawbar against the spindle itself. 2 rigid things that aren't pushing on bearings or against the head or anything like that. When it's released, it goes back up. I've got spacers in here that are pretty precise, and they keep the entire assembly sitting high enough so that it's not resting upon any of the spinning parts of the spindle. And then these heavy-duty springs on these shoulder bolts are keeping it from vibrating or having any free motion. This isn't really a new system. I mean, I didn't come up with this concept. This is how Tormach does it. This is how a lot of the plans you can buy online and projects that people have shown before. It's basically how they all work. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here or claim that this is a unique concept of my own design. I did design the plate, and I did make it so that the mounting bolts would bolt right to spots available to drill on the existing motor mount without having to remachine or make an entire new motor mount surface.
And this setup in its natural resting state means that the drawbar is always having force applied against it by those Belleville washers, which means that the collet is always in a tightened state. It's not safe to keep a tool in there when you're not using the machine, but it's bad for the collet to keep that pressure on it without a tool in it. So you can make a plug with something like aluminum that's just 3/4 of an inch in diameter and has something to grab onto. And then feel free to decorate it however you like, or don't do that at all. Up to you.
Anyway, I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope that it all made sense to you. Going through just the basic setup of how the mill comes out of the box all the way to a push-button tool-changing system has taken me a number of years, and I was hoping to kind of share my experiences with that so that maybe others out there go along the path a little bit faster and find something that works for you a little bit easier without as much trial and error. If you like this video and haven't subscribed yet, you should do that, and you can go check out some of my other videos I've done on converting this machine and making things with the machine. You can also go check me out over on Instagram. That's a little bit more behind the scenes and day-by-day updates, posts, and just having fun. If you really, really want to, you can check out the links in the description. Everything I use, I list affiliate links for Amazon and eBay, so if you want to get that, you can go buy it through those links. It'll be the same price for you. I get a few pennies to keep breaking taps and end mills and other silly little projects here in the shop, or if you want to support me directly, I do also have a Patreon account, and you can support me at any level. I'll send you a sticker, and I post videos early release on that account. Until then, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.